Victor Wembanyama just doesn't seem to stop getting better.
Wembanyama, red hot from downtown. That's his third.
After coming off one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time, recording multiple 5x5 games, and becoming the fourth youngest player to have a 50-point game, he's still continuing to play like a superstar.
It doesn't matter who you are, he's going to jump on you.
Wemby, hit it from the parking lot.
Over the course of NBA history, there have only been 5 players to record a 30-point, 10-block game, and Wemby just made number 6. But if that's not good enough, he's also achieved it in the least amount of time, meaning he's the youngest to ever do it. However, setting records and doing incredible things at such a young age isn't new to Wemby, as we all know by now. And at this point, I don't think a quadruple-double is far from his reach. And looking at what Victor has done and has nearly done already, I think we can go on and on about all the things Victor has the potential to achieve. But sometimes the eye test speaks higher volumes than anything else alone can. And luckily for Wemby, that's the exact same case. Two-way players are incredibly valuable on any team, and when you have a player that can play like an MVP on one end and the defensive player of the year on the other, the value accelerates exponentially.
Jalen Green. Oh, and Wemby just rejected Green as he went for a poster.
Players like Giannis and Kawhi are examples of guys that have shown a rare ability to dominate on both sides of the ball, and Wemby is already nearing an elite two-way peak. As I mentioned earlier, Wemby just recorded a 30-point, 10-block game, which statistically looks like a perfect two-way game. And over the course of the NBA, a 10-block game isn't a normal occurrence, and yet some people are still downplaying it just because he's tall. And to that I say, being tall doesn't just make you good at blocking shots. Sure, it definitely helps a lot, but at the end of the day, you still have to block the shot. Yao Ming, 7'6", never had a 10-block game. Taco Fall, 7'6", never had a 10-block game. Boban Marjanovic, 7'4", never had a 10-block game. Now, I get the last two aren't on the level that Wemby is, but if getting blocks is all about just being tall, then why couldn't they achieve a single game with 10 blocks if it's so easy? It's because it's not. As a big man, pick and roll actions are probably one of the hardest things for them to cover because not only are you the last line of defense, but a lot of the time you're stuck playing in between two offensive players. And while a lot of big men struggle with this, Wemby actually excels in it. Here he is guarding DeAndre Ayton. As Anthony Simons comes off the screen, Wemby enters the infamous 2v1 situation. As Simons continues to get closer to the basket, Wemby drops along with him and gets the block. Here he is guarding DeAndre Ayton again. As Jeremy Grant comes off the screen, he creates the 2v1. Wemby stays in between Ayton and Grant and uses his length to block the shot. But pick and rolls aren't the only time Victor gets stuck in these situations where he has to cover multiple players at the same time. Drives off defensive scrambles or just unset defenses in transition can cause the same type of problem. Here's Scoot Henderson with the ball and an open lane. He gets to the paint off a late rotation from Stephon Castle. This is yet another 2v1 situation for Wemby, and he still comes out on top.
Amazing to see. Wembanyama rejecting, clinging again.
Transition defense is one of the hardest situations for teams to execute because there's too many moving parts at once over a larger space, and it can create cases like these. Here's Wemby back in transition. He's already in the 2v1 to start with. He stays home with Ayton until Jeremy Grant gets the ball. Then he fully commits and blocks the 3. It's plays like these that separate him from so many other big men. The ability to turn these types of possessions where the defender is at a disadvantage into a positive for your team is incredibly valuable. It's something that can win you games, and the inability to do this can cost you games. But defense has always been a strength for Victor Wembanyama. I mean, the guy finished first team all-defense in his rookie year and was somehow the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year to Rudy Gobert. But a few days ago, Wemby showed something that truly elevated his game. Clutch factor is something that not every player has. Some players crack under the pressure and some thrive in it. And luckily for Victor Wembanyama, he shines in the spotlight. Against the Atlanta Hawks, the Spurs would find themselves in an overtime situation, one where Wemby would lead the charge like a true rising star, not only scoring 8 of the Spurs' 13 overtime points by himself, but outscoring the entire Hawks team in overtime as well.
Kicks it out. Wembanyama stepping through and hit a three at the shot clock buzzer. Oh, Jalen Johnson just got swatted by Victor Wembanyama. Inside, Wembanyama all the way. Wembanyama, a long three. He's got the last 10.
Every time the Spurs needed a basket, he delivered. His offensive prowess just continues to get more consistent. At the beginning of the season, he was off to a rocky start, and a lot of people began criticizing his game. But I think it's safe to say that now he's definitely out of that slump. Over his last 5 games, he's been averaging about 30 points a game, which from a second-year player is simply unreal, considering he's had multiple of these stretches. Lots of threes and lots of dunks.
Victor Wembanyama throwing the damn ball. And we got, I'm sick and tired. Y'all have no idea, the people in the media, the producers behind the scenes. Did you see Victor Wembanyama? Did you see him? He's 7'5".
We already know what Wemby can do on his own, and with the Spurs continuing to develop new young players like Stephon Castle, Victor is going to eventually get some solid role players alongside him. Not to mention the help that the veteran Chris Paul has been providing for Wemby to improve. I think another ridiculous season is in store for the new Spurs franchise player. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it all pans out. But of course, this team is still improving and isn't anywhere near a championship contender, but as long as you got Wemby, he's going to continue to develop, and the Spurs are going to continue being a great franchise, so that losing won't last forever. But what do you guys think? Is Wemby going to continue shattering records and doing the unthinkable? And do you think he has All-Star or Defensive Player of the Year written all over his name? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.